Welcome to the channel and today's video on a repaint on a Corsa rear bumper. On this bumper paint I'm going to be using the new LumaIII Pro gun light that we've just received. I'm just seeing basically how it goes and if it makes painting it any easier. So I've always been sceptical about gun lights, and if your booth is clean and well lit they shouldn't really be needed. But I'm keen to try it and see what benefits, if any, using one gives you as a painter. The first thing I did notice is straight away it gives you better light to check coverage in darker areas, in corners and crevices on bumpers, and that actually makes quite a big difference. You know when you're covered and you know when you're not, so it does eliminate really any kind of edges that can be missed and saves having to do reworks. So at this point I'm getting my micro tweezers out of the booth box because we have a little fly stuck in the base coat. Even in the cleanest of booths it happens, and rather annoying it happened on this video, but it had to be taken out. So we've recently switched to PPG Envirobase water-based base coat. We've got the new Touch Mix Ultra, really good system. We used to use the Max Made Aquamax previously, but wanted to move to an insurance approved scheme. Really good paint. Colour matches we've been really successful on, having really good colour matches. On this job we're using our Envirobase DV1 base coat gun, painting at 1.5 bar. It's coming to be my go-to gun for base coat. I am an Iwata fan. We do have the Series 2s in base and clear, but for some reason I just keep picking up the DV1 for base coat at the minute. Not so keen on the DV1 clear coat gun, so we do use the Iwata Series 2 digital version for putting our clear on, and we're currently using a Deltron 8131 as our main clear. Again, insurance approved, so we've recently switched to this. Really good clear, doesn't drop, it goes on beautiful. Really pleased with it, and I can't see me switching to anything else at the minute. We're also using a Walcom Thermodry system. Really good bit of kit, especially if you're painting in a country where the climate's up and down and temperatures are not great all the time. Heated air line, if people don't know what that is, you've got a heater on your filter system and the airline is also heated. You can change the settings on it, different temperatures for your base and clears, and also for your drying. It does speed the job up a hell of a lot. We also always check coverage with our sunlight. It's a colour match light, a little bit more powerful than the Sun Pro on the gun. Didn't really need to use it, to be fair, because the light on the gun does a very similar job, but I'm just in the habit of using it. Always turn the lights off, and then that gives you a really good indication if there's any patchiness or any areas you've missed. So on to painting the clear. We're using a Envirobase Pro air-fed mask, which we've recently started using again. Wayne from Damage Undone pointed out that you can buy a SATA cooler, which we needed to be able to run the air-fed mask again, because when we put the Walcom Thermodry in, which is the heated airline system, you can't run the heated air to the mask directly. I was unaware that coolers were even available, and was looking at getting a 3M air-fed, which runs on the battery pack, or the Walcom one. But Wayne pointed out that you can get the SATA cooler. Cost me about 200 quid. Put that on there and we're back to using the original air-fed that we got, which is great. So a big thank you to Wayne at Damage Undone for giving me that bit of info about the cooler, because it saved me spending about 1600 quid on a new mask. So for this clear coat gun, we're using an Iwata WS400 Series 2 digital version. Probably the best clear coat gun I've used. Finish is beautiful off it. Love the gun, love the way it feels, how it handles, how it sprays. I recently switched it from a 1.3 setup down to a 1.2mm setup, which is what PPG advised using their Deltron 8131 clear. It does go on a little bit nicer with the slightly smaller gun setup. Got used to it now. It's really good. I'm quite happy with where I've got to with what I'm using product wise, gun wise. It just works. It works well for me. It might not work well for everybody. Everybody has different setups, different preferences. But for me, what I'm using right now works really well. I don't have any issues, rarely get runs, but we do sometimes, as all painters do. If they tell you they don't, they're lying. Back onto the LumaIII. Again, on the clear coat, it does help a lot. Not so much as with the base. With the clear coat, you tend to, you know your rhythm, you know your passes, you know you've got coverage without having to visibly see it. It does help, I guess, on some edges to make sure that you've not missed. But I tend to find that I used to paint differently. I used to paint and always look where I was painting and try to make sure I got a shine with the clear. And that was a mistake I think you make as a painter when you start doing it. And I learned as time went by to not really even look at what you're painting. Make sure that your speed, your rhythm, your passes and everything's right, and then the finish will come. The more you look for the finish, that's when you end up getting runs because you're overcoating corners and things like that. But again, that's just personal experience. So I tend to now just let it flow and paint naturally. I do think that works a lot better. So final verdict on the LumaIII Pro Lite. I'm glad I've got it. I will use it on certain jobs, but in all honesty I won't use it on all jobs. But it's a good tool to have if you want to use it. I mean, this bumper came out beautiful. Really good job. No runs on this one, so that's always a positive. Again, I highly recommend the LumaIII Pro Lite, but it may not be for everybody.